Health Nuts, episode 32.
You're listening to Health Nuts with Dr. Chris Carr. Making lifestyle changes is hard for many people, and not knowing what to do or how to do it makes the task all the more daunting. Here at Health Nuts, we focus on helping you live a fuller life by discussing everyday health issues and exploring breakthrough solutions on how to overcome them. And now, here's your host, Dr. Chris Carr.
Welcome back to another episode of Health Nuts. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Carr, and today I have on an awesome guest, and that's Dr. Chris Zaino. Dr. Zaino is a world-renowned speaker, author, entrepreneur, and hero. After winning Mr. America in 1998 and being a leader in the fitness industry, he found himself defying a deadly disease in his late 20s. Dr. Zaino leveraged his experience to establish one of the largest health and wellness clinics in the world, seeing thousands of patients per week. Teaching mindset and health principles has allowed thousands of people to finally receive results where other health and medical systems failed them in the past. Now an international speaker, author, and mindset expert, Dr. Chris has shared his message of wholeness in mind and body over 4,430 times, shifting doctors and clients alike to continue to make the impact on millions. The core premise of his work is that everybody is born with seeds of greatness and capable of heroic things if given the chance, that each person has the noble qualities inherent in them to drastically shift themselves and their work. Dr. Chris seeks to unlock this in each man, woman, and child that he reaches. Rather than let people silently grieve their potential, he exists to wake up the hero that we know is hidden within each of us. Today, Dr. Chris is a healthy and whole husband to an incredible supportive wife, Whitney, and father to two amazing superhero sons, all which would have been impossible if he hadn't brought alive his inner hero. Together, each of us can rise and reach our full hero potential. Dr. Chris, it's an absolute privilege to have you on. I've been waiting to talk to you. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Thanks, Dr. Chris, and thanks for everybody. We're going to get a lot of good value today, and I'm just really excited about this. Thank you for the kind intro, just the way I sent it to you. So we're good.
That was it. Yeah, I have. There's not many times, so I've been doing this for the past year and a half, and I've got to interview people from across the country, actually across the world. Not many times I get to have a mentor on. I've only had it on once or twice before. So you're somebody I look up to. I know you're the gold standard, at least in my eyes, for the profession. So I'm looking forward to hearing your message today about the health journey and where we're going with this thing.
You got it. I'll give it everything I got.
Your background, I think your story is pretty powerful because you come from your background with your chronic disease that you had and that process. If you can walk us through what led you to down the road.
Yeah. So first, to preface this, I want, what I'm about to talk about, understand, I think the punchline here is going to be that no matter what you think you're going through right now, it's not an end of something, like the end of your health or the end of or you're in this crisis or victim. Once you start to see it as it's an evolving of you to clarity of what you do want, what you don't want. And in the micro, if you are going through health issues right now, it sucks. I get it. But hopefully through my story, you'll see that in the macro, if you respond to the circumstances accordingly, it literally could be the greatest blessing you got. So let's go back to 1998. I won Mr. America, right? So I have the Mr. America title. I'm a personal trainer at the same time. So you bring those two titles together. I look good, I feel good. I started writing for magazines and then when online, the internet started really crushing it. So I started writing for online stuff. I was in Orlando, so I got to be the trainer for some of the Orlando Magic privately. And then Universal Studios Florida is right there. And so I got to be one of the trainers for the Hercules Xena Warrior Princess that they filmed on Universal Studios. They filmed most of it in New Zealand, but then a lot of the B-roll and stuff and close stuff they did in Universal Studios. So I had a killer job, dream. I'm in my 20s. Bulletproof. And then at 26, I met my wife, Whitney, and then about 6 months into a marriage, all of a sudden, I just started going to the bathroom a lot. So I thought I had a stomach bug. And it got worse and worse. And I'm not saying anything because I'm thinking it'll just go away. Then I start bleeding every time I go to the bathroom. And I start getting a little nervous, not telling anybody. And then I went online and I played Google MD, like way too many of us do. And I typed in blood in stool. And the first thing that pops up is cancer. And I'm thinking back, my dad died when I was 21 of cancer that the doctor said was there for 30 years and we didn't know it. My grandfather died before I ever knew him in 1975. So I'm thinking like, I guess, even if the cancer gene thing was true, I mean, at 26 is it happening like already? So I deny it, go into denial, I hit escape, get out of there, and just don't tell anybody. Then I start going to the bathroom 13, 14, 18 times a day. It's blood, it's mucus. Now it's getting bad. I'm losing weight, but now I'm not showing it on the outside because my wife just thinks I'm dieting or getting in shape or something because I'm losing a lot of weight. And I started noticing that with this health issue, it's so slow, it starts deteriorating your life. It puts you in a box in a prison where my whole life now was revolving around this situation or this experience I was having, such as if I had to be on this podcast right now, I probably wouldn't eat for 5 hours so the food would go through me. If I had to be someplace at 6 o'clock at night, I'd stop eating at 10 or 11 so the food would go through me. So if I went out anywhere, the first thing I would notice when I went into a location was where's the bathroom, just in case. So you really start saying, wow, this issue is really now constructing the way I see life. And there was a Sunday, I was at a TJ Maxx, a department store, and I did my usual. I walked in, go to the back to see I had a scope where the bathrooms are first, and then they were locked. And I go, the bathrooms are locked. They had a sign on them. They're like, oh yeah, they're out of order. They're under construction. I'm like, so where's your bathrooms? Like, just go out and go next door to Sports Authority. Like, they're just not working right now. And I got so panicked because it was just like, I need it right here. Because when you have this urge to go to the bathroom, like you couldn't hold it. And that was the day. It was the first time of many that I lost my bowels right in public. It was in front of like a department store. And just imagine, it's like, it's not something you can hide. It's blood, it's mucus, it's, it's there. And then you have people that are looking at you and they're shocked because they've never seen anything like that. It didn't happen in their life, but they feel bad. It was just this mixture of emotions. You're depressed, you're ashamed. And I run out the side to the loading dock. And that's when I called my wife. I said, listen, this is what's going on. And she had no clue. So she picked me up. We had this little Ford Escort with towels on the front seat. And I'd explain to her what's been going on the last 2 months. We went right to the hospital because we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Believe me,
I'd be scared straight at that point.
Yeah, just straight to the hospital, knocked me out. They do emergency colonoscopy. When I woke up, the doctor's like, I know exactly what you have. He goes, you have an incurable terminal disease called ulcerative colitis. It's an autoimmune disease where your immune system's attacking the colon, eating it away. We're going to put you on high doses of prednisone. He goes, it is the most dangerous drug out there with the most side effects, but we got to go nuclear, basically, to control this. You're probably going to need surgery the way it looked like. And we just got to go from there. So they put me on prednisone. They put me on a drug called Asacol that it was so tough on your liver, it gave me medically induced hepatitis. So I got hepatitis from the medication. So they couldn't stop it. They said, listen, you're being treated for ulcerative colitis. Now we're going to start treating you for hepatitis. And now I'm taking interferon. I'm taking all these other things. I just kept on losing weight, getting worse. And they said, okay, listen, we're going to send you to Dallas, Texas, and Baylor. There's 4 top doctors in the country, if not the world, for digestive disease. Maybe they'll know something else to do. So I fly there with Whitney, and $1 billion facility. They do all the testing you can think about. And they took me off the prednisone because you can't just be on that forever. It's like it's eating away my tendons and my blood sugar. I'm becoming pre-diabetic. So they put me on a low-dose chemotherapy to lower the immune system. They put me on interferon injections for the medically induced hepatitis. They wanted Remicade infusions for the autoimmune disease. And then they started putting me on organ rejection drugs, meaning that if my immune system is attacking my colon, if we could lower and shut down your immune system, it just can't do it. So an organ rejection drug is if I got your kidney or someone's liver, your body's going to fight it. So if they shut your immune system down, it doesn't reject it. So I'm on one organ rejection medication, still getting worse. 2, 3 organ rejection medications, and these things are about $80 to $100 a pill that we don't have the money for. It's just to let you know, I'm not like, oh yeah, but like I don't have credit cards. So it's just like the bill is coming up, and it's going to be like the rest of my life to pay for it. And then I went from 230 pounds down to 158 pounds in about 4.5 months. Nothing's working. Now the only option they said was surgery. So the surgery consists of removing my entire colon. They said you'll have a colostomy bag the rest of your life. It will break, it will leak, it will get infected. You're going to need multiple surgeries for this. You'll be on $4,000 worth of medication for the rest of your life. You still have an 80% chance of getting cancer, even if we do the surgery. And they said, and you're sterile already. We tested you with the amount of drugs you've been given. You're sterile. So it's even too late to say, hey, let's, get some donations so you can maybe have a child later. So they're like, this is what we're going to do. And we'll set you up for a week and a half. And it was very scary because we knew the thing. My wife's like, you're on 3 different organ rejection medications. You're wearing a mask because your immune system's compromised. So she's like, there's no way they're cutting open your colon and you're not going to get some type of infection. And so at that point, Dr. Chris, and then we could just kind of talk more about it. But I'm flying home to see my mom, right? So my mom was in Sarasota, Florida, and she already lost 2 sons at this point. I had a brother who died of a freak accident, another brother who died of a heroin overdose. So for a mother, my mom lost my dad. So the men in her life are going away. And it's unnatural to lose your kids. This is son number 3. And so my mom sends out the prayer email. And that prayer email is like any other mother's cry for help. And everybody said, hey, we hope the surgery goes well. We pray for a miracle. And then one person sent my mom an email that really started shifting and changing the course of my life from the day forward. So we'll get back to that, but I'll bring you up to this point if you want to kind of discuss anything before we go forward.
Yeah, I think the adversity alone, but I just think to myself, like, that's like the definition of hell. Just going through that, and like it's like option A sucks and option B sucks even worse.
Yeah. What do you do? But here's the thing, I've tried it all. Like, I'm compliant, I'm a coachable dude. Like, I didn't drink. Here's the frustrating part for me, Dr. Chris. Imagine having a disease and then driving by Sonic, and there's a line of people waiting for McDonald's and Sonic, and there's people outside smoking. And I'm like, you know what? I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs, like recreational drugs. And so I'm like, I'm the fitness guy. Like I drink my water. I do my exercise. I'm like, and how the hell are they doing way better than me?
Right. What's the difference?
Because I had a false map of what I thought health was. Mm-hmm. You see, I thought health, like many people, I was raised to believe if I look a certain way, I'm healthy, or if I feel a certain way, I'm healthy, right? Like, so, I look good, I got to be healthy. Like a Patrick Swayze, I feel good. So I realized when I started noticing, well, wait a second, I did all the right things that I thought of. I didn't know that there's blind spots apparently, but I did all the right things. And here there's these people, not judging them. I'm not judging them. I'm envying. Like, they're eating McDonald's every morning. They're drinking, they're all the things that we would say are unhealthy, but yet they don't have an incurable autoimmune disease like I do. So what's the disconnect? This is very frustrating for me. So add that to the health thing. Like, you did the right things, but yet you did the right things you thought were the right things at the time, but yet these people are drinking and, they're eating McDonald's and they're smoking cigarettes and they don't exercise and they look like crap, and like their lives are way better than me.
And that brings up that question, is that everyone has that person in their family that has been smoking for 30, 40 years and they don't have cancer. And then there's somebody who, we can use you, for example, or I had one of my best friends in college was a marathon runner and he got lung cancer.
Yeah. Right.
What happened?
Yeah. Are we self-aware to say, could there be a blind spot, or could I be on the wrong map? Mm-hmm. At least that's the first thing of like being self-aware, to be like, I don't know what it is, but is it possible that I may be on the wrong map? So here, if I'm driving on the map and I got the directions and my GPS is telling me, yeah, you're doing great, and then it was the wrong map, I feel I'm making great progress, great results, making great time, and then I end up in a place where I never ever wanted to go. But the whole time I thought I was going the right direction.
One of the reasons why I followed you for a long period of time, one is the mindset piece with this. So two of my biggest takeaways with you that I've learned is one, just lifestyle being congruent throughout your various aspects of your life. And the other one was discipline. So you've had both of those things where you've been disciplined for years and years, congruent for years and years. So then did your mindset, did it go in the tank? Were you just down in the dumps, or did you always have that positive mindset where you knew you'd overcome it?
I don't think anybody has a positive mindset when they're not doing well, because there's hopeless, there's apathy. But I definitely do believe that, you're going to do whatever I can. But here's the tough thing, Dr. Chris. It's like I went to the best doctors I went to the best doctors in the country for digestive disease, and I went to the $1 billion facility. Like, I went to the top. So it wasn't like what do you do when they can't help? So when I put my faith in those people and they can't help, and I didn't know help that I know now, like we know now, but when you went to the standard of the best, so to speak, and they can't help you, and you put your faith in them, it's pretty much hopeless, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty defeating.
Right. So, and that's really where it was the email sent to my mom that of my anatomy teacher from 10th grade of high school sent my mom an email because he was on her email list somehow, and it was just it was someone actually showing an element or a blind spot or a way where I really didn't even consider. And so I'll tell you about Dr. Bauman. So Dr. Bauman sends my mom this email and goes, "Dear Elaine, I want to see your son Chris when he gets home, like when he sees you. I think I know I can help him." I'm like, all right. So I fly home, got the mask on, there's Dr. Bauman. I'm like, "So what's going on?" He's like, "Listen, I need you to go see my doctor. He's a corrective care chiropractor. It'll change your life." Okay, so watch this. So now here's another phase of resistance. So look, you believe and you went to the top in the country. 200,000 in medical, like you've been to the top. And when they told me to take the pill, I took the pill. Like there was no what do you call it, non-compliance on my part. I did everything they told me to do. And then so here's this guy in Sarasota, Florida. He's like, "I need to see my doctor down the road. He's a corrective care chiropractor." And it felt absurd because my perception of what chiropractic was, my lens, like there was no way I could combine. Like to me, I thought it was like a muscle modality thing. How is that? Like I got this incurable disease. Like I don't, like where's this? Where's the connection here? Because my perception of chiropractic at the time was when I played baseball, football, there was a chiropractor who came out to the field and he stretched our hamstrings and he taped up our ankles. So do you understand my education of what that art and philosophy and science was that of just more like a trainer, an athletic trainer. So like I'm talking like this incurable disease. So I said, "Listen, hey, I really appreciate you for wanting to help me. I know you care for me." I tried everything. I did everything they told me to do. I tried it all, but I appreciate your help. But there's nothing else I could do. And in your life, in your journey, and it might be for some of you today listening to this podcast, this might be the moment for you. But there was the moment where, in that moment when I said I tried everything, my anatomy teacher said, he goes, "No, you didn't try everything." He goes, "Because if you tried everything, you would have had your health."
Right.
I'm like, oh my God. Like, talk about a wake-up call, right? Because when you're apathetic, when you're indifferent, when you've given up hope, you feel there's no other option. But when someone says, "Hey, listen, by the way, you didn't try it," even though you felt you tried everything, but you didn't, because if you tried everything, then you would have found the solution. You would have found your health back. You would have been restored to health, which is your natural state of being. Like, wow. And that one moment, just like now when you talk about mindset, that it only takes someone to show you something at a slightly different angle. And that there, Dr. Chris, came to, oh my God, like he's right. Yeah, that is a good statement. See, it only takes that 1 second. I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I went to see this guy, Dr. Roger, in Sarasota, Florida. And he took pictures of my spine, and that no one ever took. I did all these other tests. But then he sat me down and he told me the story of health like we already knew. Like, that the brain controls everything, yes, and the nervous system. And just really beautifully, this is just how we work. And we all passed the test in school. And it made all the sense in the world. The brain controls everything. It uses the nervous system. It controls every cell of the body. If there's anything interfering with that nervous system to any part of the body, then it's not in its natural state of well-being. It's therefore a disease. And what I love about it is when it comes to disease is like, a disease in health is like the light switch. Like when we walk into a room, we don't look for the dark switch. So what's the dark switch? Like what is dark? It's the resistance to light, right? So there's a light. So our natural state is well-being. Our natural state is always health. Disease has to be the resistance, some resistance of health in our body. There's a resistance or an interference. So I was like, yeah, I mean, this all makes sense in the world. Like I got it. It was logical. It made sense. Then I went back to look at my pictures of my spine, and I saw a blind spot that I wasn't aware before. Even though I was on stage and I was 3% body fat and I was lean, and even though I never had low back pain, in my lower spine area, my spine was a wreck. And then in my upper cervical area, real quick, for those of you listening, there's the first bone of your neck called the atlas, and that sits right below your skull. And they named it Atlas because it's like the Greek mythology guy who holds the world on his shoulders. That atlas was 50% crushing on my spinal cord, on my brainstem, controlling immunity and all other organs of my body. But yet I didn't feel that symptom. And there was my blind spot, my nervous system, the light switch to my entire body, the energy and light to my entire body was being dimmed or interfered with or resisted. And sure enough, in my lower back, those nerve roots go to your digestive tract. So no matter how good of food I ate, it wasn't going to absorb it or heal. And then when my brain stems, they're just like Christopher Reeve, when you're crushing that immune system, all those things are not going to work well. And so in that moment, I saw my blind spot. But here's the thing, Dr. Chris. When you've been through everything and you're in sick, like ridiculous medical debt, and you're scared. So I'm full of fear because I was told once we change this drug, you'll be better. Once we do this drug, you'll be better. So that's what I was told. And finally, once we remove your colon, you'll be better. You know, I was just given so much false hope. So here's another person giving me false hope, I felt. And so you're scared, you're emotional. And when you're in fear and when you're scared, the probability of you making the correct decision is slim to none. And then that's where you have support, like my wife, saying, listen. She goes, listen, there's no way you're going to get through that surgery, especially on 3 organ rejection medications. She's like, you're not even guaranteed you'll make it through. And she's like, you will never have kids. You were told that already. And we always wanted to have a family. Mm-hmm. She's like, if we don't find this, we'll never ever crawl out underneath the sick medical debt. She's like, I don't even know how we'll pay that. Plus, we're going to go into more debt each month because you'll never be able to work or have a job because she's like, we have to do something other than that. Like that decision is for sure like loss of dreams and everything. So I'm like, you're right. And so so when it comes to the decision, you have to make that choice, Dr. Chris. And then it was the decision to make that choice.
And obviously I know the rest of the story and where it ends, but thank God that teacher reached out to you.
Yeah. So let's talk about that teacher. So that teacher was not the doctor, was it? My teacher was a patient of that doctor, and that doctor did such a great job, like yourself, Dr. Chris, of educating his listeners and patients. He did such a great job that they had enough confidence in what health was to be able to say, hey, listen, to be able to go out and evangelize or like step out in front of the bus and say, hey, listen, I know something that can help you. So imagine a doctor gave their patients so much confidence to then be able to go and help others, right? One person.
It's a powerful message because it's now that he was shown the truth and all other patients were shown the truth, it's almost like a responsibility now. And right. How much would you really have to just really not like somebody, not to pass that message along if you knew you could help them?
Yeah. And he was very gentle and kind about it. It was nothing. And when I saw that, and when I had to make the decision, because here's the decision, you still have to make the decision. And again, that question, it's asking the right question. So I go to him like, listen, okay, I get it. So when am I going to get better? Right? Like when you're not doing well, if you're listening on this line, you only want one question solved. When am I going to be better? That's all you care about. Your focus is on, I don't want to be sick. My desires, I want to be better. And check out this answer. this is when I know this was like where I needed to be. It's like, listen, so as long as you have interference in your body and your nervous system, your body is not in the environment to be able to heal itself. Because, but when you choose to be committed and take care of your problems and the root cause of the problems and correct the problem that you have that's affecting your life and your future, then your body then will be in the environment to be able to heal itself. He's like, but the day and the hour you're asking me, he's like, it's not up to me, because it's between you, your body, and God. He goes, but I'll tell you right now, you will get better if you don't quit on yourself. I was like, wow, what a mature answer. No false hope. It was like, listen, all I know is right now, your equation you've been doing, not working. Therefore, when we do a different equation, remove these variables and these blind spots, then your body has a better chance to heal and recover. And don't put a time limit on it. Your body doesn't care if you think it should be 1 month or 2 months. Like if it takes you 20 years, your body will heal. You just can't quit on that path. So that set up the right expectation, right? Because I could easily have been after 2. Because what happens, watch this, Dr. Chris, if he didn't set up the proper biological expectation, because this is what happens. I'm bleeding every time I go to the bathroom. So he starts correcting my spine, doing the adjustments, freeing the interference of the nervous system. But then a week later, I'm doing the right thing to fix my problem, but I've still seen blood like crazy.
Right.
So it's tough to see the manifestation right in front of your eyes, yet you're supposedly doing the right thing. I'm seeing what is. I'm seeing blood. And you know what? You don't like, you can't not see it. Like if it's blood, it's blood. And a month goes by, still same thing. It's easy to lose hope. 2 months go by, same thing. 3 months go by, I'm off half my medications, okay? 5 months go by, I'm off all my medications, my weight stabilized, or I'm up a pound. So in that moment, now it took me 3 months to actually to see, okay, I got momentum. At least I know there's an improvement. And then once you get that first, it's not like everybody else will see the improvement before you, but once you could say, hey, I stayed in long enough to see the little bit of light, the little bit of hope, then that creates the momentum. So boom, I'm off all the meds. I'm still bleeding a little bit. 7 months later, okay, the blood stopped, no more medication, and my body healed itself from an incurable terminal disease called ulcerative colitis, and that was 16 years ago.
So maybe somebody who's in your footsteps now, and
Right.
they're just, they're walking down this path, and they're sick, they're diseased, and they're frustrated.
Right.
What do you tell them if they're in that situation you were before you found the high school teacher?
Well, number one, to be okay with feeling that way, because they're grieving their health. They're grieving what was true. So that feeling of frustration, like, and anger, like, yeah, no kidding. Like anybody would be like that. But channel that energy, not into like going apathetic, but literally saying, I will look under every stone in this planet until I find something that helps me. Mm-hmm. And you're committing on that journey, no matter how long it takes. Almost to like, I'm burning the bridges behind me. I'm breaking the boats. There's no exit strategy. There's no giving up. Like if I die along the journey, at least I died going and finding the path, but I'm not going to give up and always regret what if. Because, and let me support that, because I understand right now, if you're not doing well, it's like easy for you to say, I get it. I was there too. I didn't like anybody who was healthier than me because I envied what they had, right? So I get it. But let me tell you from this point of view to where you may be right now. Watch. 16 years later, watch it. Remember I said sometimes what you're going through right now, it's not an end of something, it's an evolution.
Right.
Well, going through that journey of that disease, nothing working, finding chiropractic in my nervous system, learning about that, not realizing that was my blind spot, getting well from that, from correcting those problems. Then I said to myself, well, this must be my purpose as of now. So I went back to school, became a doctor. My wife and I opened up our practice in Houston in 2005, became the largest clinic in the history of the profession, seeing thousands of people a week, impacting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people's lives, not just doctors, but also their patients. And I want to just let you know, it's not the impact that I had in people's lives, but I want you to look at today, being able to take care of my wife. Because let's look at the truth. Let's be honest, guys. If you were a sick, miserable, down, angry person, if my wife left, I would have been okay with that. Because why should she go through that? Oh, she's committed. No. You only could be committed. Someone like, you can't live with that every day because it would be abusive. I could take care of my wife. She's not taking care of me. 2, we have 2 beautiful sons we were not supposed to have, Justice and Titus. That was a miracle in itself. Wasn't supposed to happen. My body healed from that too. Building one of the largest clinics in the world. So just think that means helping people, contribution, financial security, right? All these other things right there. My entire life, but I say all this, my entire 16 years of my life, what I was able to experience, the joy, the happiness, the conquest, the contribution, the experiences, even to the point where I'm talking to you today on this podcast. All of that, the last 16 years would have been erased if I made the choice to do the surgery. This is what scares me when I tell my story. I know I was days away from making a decision or choosing not to make a decision to take care of my problem that would have left me with surgery, and who knows where I would have been, sick, suffering, dead by now, right? But watch this. What's even scarier is the last 16 years of my life, my wife, my kids, my patients, talking to you right now on this podcast, it would have been erased. And what's even more scary, I wouldn't have known better, right? We can't grieve or regret what we never know what happened.
Right.
So just think, my entire life, what freaks me out about myself, giving me the energy to want to speak to anybody I can to help them, is because everything in my life, as wonderful as it's become, and the impact would have been erased, and I never would have known different. And there's so many people's lives that they never would have known the life they were supposed to really have, the people they were supposed to have, maybe the children they were supposed to have, the impact they were supposed to have, because they made a choice and they were never able to grieve what never was. So that's why if you're sitting here saying, no, it's easy for you, it's like, I get it. But if you give up, if you don't do whatever it takes, meaning that if you don't do it all and make a decision that you're going to find the answer,
right,
this beautiful life ahead of you will vanish, and you never would have been able to experience what it really could have been. And then you could look back. When I look back at my disease, I see it as the greatest blessing of my life. I laugh now about the stories of losing my bowels in public and the reaction of people. You know why? Because I healed from that. Like, it was an experience, a grateful experience in my life. It wasn't something that defined me.
Yeah, it's got to be really, I mean, it's almost got to scare the crap out of you, for lack of a better word, if you would have went that way just because of what you overcame. And I can only imagine kind of that mindset piece that comes with it, and the fear that if you would have went down that road, how different your life would have been, because it would have been a 180.
So Chris, think about that. So maybe how I just presented it to you, maybe that gives you even more drive behind your podcast. Mm-hmm. Because how many people would you reach with your podcast that they're now able to experience the actual true life that they were really supposed to have, and maybe you help people avoid just making a bad move or a bad choice where they would have never be able to grieve the potential that they lost. You see like the impact of helping one person literally is my story to you. Oh my God, for 16 years, the 16 years of my life, every day, this would have been gone and vanished. I never would have known it. And that's the scary part. It's like you never would have known what you could have had. So I really think that what you're doing and what we come together and do is it's almost like parallel timelines from one decision.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it is. It's such a powerful message, especially because it's just what all you've done. But so with that person now, maybe they've made the right decision, or it doesn't really matter if they're going which way.
Yeah. What
are things that they can do throughout their day-to-day lifestyle? If you give maybe 3 quick lifestyle tips that you do on your day-to-day to keep yourself in peak shape.
You mean like when I was in mid-crisis?
Yeah, when you're mid-crisis and you're on all those meds, but you're trying to restore your health. What were 3 things that you were able to use?
100%. So the first thing you have to do, it's very easy only to declare what is right now. I'm sick, I'm on drugs, I'm this, I'm breathing right. So what I did is I would protect my heart, and I would surround myself with positivity. Like for me, and I mean, this is not like promoting anybody one thing. It just, for me, in that time in Texas, Joel Osteen is a big in Texas, and this is not a religious thing at all, but just understand, look, I'm going to distill it down. He had a very positive message. And in that time, I just needed anything positive. So I don't care if it's Wayne Dyer, I don't care if it's Buddhism, I don't care what it is, but I brainwashed myself. Notice I use the term brainwash, because brainwash is not a negative thing. It's what is brainwashing? Being constantly exposed to something, and you start to freaking believe it. So I started really surrounding myself with positivity. For me, it was Joel Osteen. For you guys, it could be something positive, someone you relate to that makes you feel a little bit of hope. Watch this, like a crack of hope. That's all I want, a crack of hope. And if you do that on a daily basis, it gives you that just a little bit of sliver of hope. Boom, and that's the mindset stuff. 2, when you start getting a little bit of hope, when you feel hopeful, and it'll be few and far between. Let's say there's 10 minutes where you feel a little up and hopeful, then close your eyes and see yourself well. Be like, oh, when I'm well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I literally future-paced, not me being sick, but well. Because what happens is, you got to understand something. Here's the blessing. When you're in a crisis, it sets off 2 rockets of desires. One thing you realize is, I don't want to be like this anymore, right? So when you're sick, you know what you don't want. So talk about the clarity in your life. It creates clarity. So I know I don't want to be sick. And when you know you don't want something, it automatically, the other end, sets off a desire. I know I want health.
Right.
So what happens is, the desire for health is there, but we focus on what we don't want versus, no, I'm going to focus on health. So I desire health. So I kept positive things. I desire. So I would imagine myself healthy. Well, what's going to be like when I only go to the bathroom 5 times a day? What's it like when I gain a pound? And like, I would just imagine that and have fun with it, because at least, guys, it was keeping my thoughts and my emotions in the right direction. Because your emotions send off different chemicals in the body, right? You know that. And then getting true with yourself to say, listen, my stepdad, he was 88 years old. He traveled the world, amazing speaker. And when you're 88 years old, I want to get some wisdom out of you. I'm like, okay, so what would be like some of the greatest advice that you saw in your 88 years? I mean, he grew up in the Depression, and he was a Russian Jew, and got, like, his mom tried to abort him. I mean, like, it's nuts, like the persecution in all his years. And you know what he had to tell me? He's like, what I would leave you is this. He's like, the toughest thing to do in life is to make a decision. Because we're so scared we're going to make the wrong decision. He's like, but the toughest thing is to make a decision. So what I'm telling you, that third thing was, you make a decision. If you just try to get healthy, if you just give this a shot, trying is a for sure way of failing. You make a decision. And maybe for you guys listening right now, you need to declare right now, I'm deciding this. And you know what? That means I'm all in. I'm not going to try it, because that means you have 1 foot out the door. That means, like, remember, if I just tried the chiro route, what would have happened 2 weeks in when I'm still bleeding? I'd be like, yeah, doesn't work, right? I would have been out. But I said, no, I'm seeing this through. I'm good no matter what. Like, I had no exit strategy. So because I wasn't trying, it meant that when I went through the tough times, that I didn't bail. I stayed through it, and then the good times came. So surround yourself with positivity that's listening, watching, and that's eliminating some people from your life. 2, then really start when you have the glimpses of hope and excitement that there is a chance that you're going to get well, you go all in and just keep on imagining what you're going to do. Well, like I used to tell my wife, Dr. Chris, because we would watch Joel Osteen, and they used to pan, there was 8,000 people there. And I literally was on the couch going, when I get well, I would be able to speak my message to a room like that, to 8,000 people. You see, like, this is the thing I planted. And then looking back, we're talking, it happened. Like, so I started planning, like, when this happens, I declare I'm going to do this. So, like, it just, there was the fight. It created that fight in me. And then I made a decision. I made a decision, like a stubborn, no matter what, like, I'm not trying this. I got to go all in, because if I don't go all in, it's the what if I didn't, I like, am I going to miss out? And just, I could just tell you from being on the other side of the bridge now, if I didn't have those factors in there, when I got sad, down, the other people just, because a lot of times when you're sick, sometimes here's kind of something that's kind of messed up. Your significance becomes being the sick person. Because when someone gets really sick, they get all this attention. They're the sick person. So it's subconsciously almost like, well, hey, I'm getting more love from people because I'm sick. I know it sounds so messed up, but it's true. So if I didn't have those three things to keep forward, all the people who had empathy towards me, I'm like, but I'm going to beat this. Because I was gaining momentum. Even if I spoke it, even if I didn't feel it, it's like, no, I'm going to beat this. And because I don't want to be known, I don't want my identity to be the sick person. And that was where love came from. I wanted to be the overcomer and the conqueror. And you don't always feel like that. But if I didn't have those three things, Dr. Chris, I easily would have been able to just go down that dark road or fall into the hole of indifference and apathy, and would have just stayed in victim mode.
Yeah, that story alone, it's a powerful message, and it's one that it moves me, and I've heard bits and pieces of it before, so I can only imagine what it's done for the audience as well. Before I let you go, because I know you do a ton of speaking and getting a following. People that want to get hold of you, how do they do it?
Best way, if you want to continue this conversation, just follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and it's under Dr. Zaino. So DR and Zaino, Z is in zebra, A-I is Z-A-I-N is in Nancy O. So Zaino, don't forget the I. And so if you go to Facebook, I have the Facebook page, fan page, and then Instagram. And I put out content every single day, and the content could be talks, videos, inspirational pictures or quotes, but it's something we could control it. We could keep the conversation going, and I answer all the comments and all the private messages. So anything you answer, any comment, when you see me answer, it's me. It's not some robot. And then like Dr. Chris, just like, you had done it. I love doing these podcasts because we all have our little vehicles of influence, and this just feels so good to do these. So if you're listening and you have a podcast, or maybe you want to document your journey of getting well again, I think that'd be great. Oh, Chris, let's add a number 4. How about this? If you're not doing well, why don't you document? Would you much rather have seen a documentary of me when I was 158 pounds and talking to the camera, or writing a journals on every day, the good times, the bad times? I think people would appreciate that more than me telling, oh, here, I'm great, let me tell you my story. So how about that to get you well? Because now when you start documenting your journey, journaling it, videoing it, doing a Facebook Live, let me tell you, it's like the journey to health. Think of the people you can inspire. So if you want to start a podcast, if you want to do anything, like I said, I'll be more than happy to be a guest on your podcast. Just message me. You can email me at drzaino@drzaino.com, or just message me on Facebook or Instagram. So that's a good 4th thing. I would do that now. So imagine if you and I, Chris, are fighting something, and we're like, crap. So you know what? It's a lot easier to do with. Would it be cool? Like, we were alone back then. There was no Facebook and stuff.
It didn't exist.
Would it be cool, like, if we had 50, 100, 1,000 people with intention saying, we're rooting for you. They're pushing you, just like that marathon athlete, like they could barely stand, but everybody's cheering for them. And that gives them just enough momentum to cross that finish line. It's like, how cool would that be? It's very transparent, but how cool to put yourself out there and say, listen, I'm suffering with this, but I'm going to make it a point and document my journey to beat this. And just think about all the people you can help through that journey.
Yeah, that's a hell of a takeaway. I mean, that's you dropped a ton of golden nuggets on there, but that's a pretty darn good one to end it with. I'll put for the audience, I'm going to put all of his info will be in the show notes. He does put out content daily. It's amazing how consistent he is. There's stuff out there every single day, so you can watch him. He has a YouTube channel as well where he puts all his videos on there. And the message, it's pretty powerful. And for those of you out there, I highly recommend you follow him because he is just an amazing guy. When he says he has the largest clinic in the world, he is not kidding. They can literally treat thousands of patients a week. So that alone, he's just the golden standard. I'm just blessed that he was able to come on and share his message. Dr. Z, appreciate you, my man.
Thanks, Dr. Chris. Appreciate you and everybody listening. Thank you guys so much. And again, if you listen to this, please comment. Please review this podcast. If you appreciate, give it a 5-star review. And please comment. Understand, we're just not speaking at you. We want to engage with you. So please comment, and Dr. Chris and I will be more than happy to just take it as far as we need to with you.
Yeah, you guys have a great week, and look forward to speaking to you guys next week. Bye now.
So, you've heard from the experts yourself this episode and have gotten some golden nuggets on health. There is so much more to come and so much more to learn. Head on over to pghcw.com. Again, that's pghcw.com, and sign up for our newsletter where you'll receive free info on how to get and stay healthy. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Health Nuts with Dr. Chris Carr. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast and please leave a review.